Hello, everybody. Welcome back for another weekly update. I am late. I wanted to start doing this on Monday, then I switched over to Sunday, and now I'm on Monday again because I didn't film yesterday. Did anybody see the World Cup match between England and Mexico last night? That was probably the best match I've seen anyway. I'm not a soccer connoisseur in any way, but the best match I've seen this entire World Cup. It was wild. England is still in, so my husband is happy, my son is happy. We move on to I think it's Norway. I think England now plays Norway. Don't hold me to that one, but I think it's Norway. So that was cool. That was last night. Very exciting. For the weekly wrap up, I finished nothing in the past week. Absolutely nothing. I read pretty much every day, whether it's a few pages or a chapter or sometimes more, but I finished nothing. I did do a little bit of cross stitch, but I finished no cross stitch. I can show you that. I've got that right here. So it's coming along. It's hard to see the creamy colors and the white colors and whatnot, but it is coming along. You can tell it's a cup. It will be a cup and whatnot. So I'm having fun with it. It's just not getting done anytime soon. So the only thing I have to talk about today for this past week is this book here, Babel. There you go. Our July 26th and 2026 read. We're supposed to, for this past weekend, have two chapters done, which I do have done. And it is very interesting. It's very heavy. I also have my spoiler owl ready to go, but I'm not going to talk spoilers just yet. So, has anybody been reading it with me? Has anybody read this already? Thoughts? Put them down in the comments. I'd love to know. I already have my own thoughts. I'm not going to share them until I'm a little bit more into the book because I don't really think the book has gotten started yet. Two chapters. But this is my first RF Quang, and I thought it was funny. I will share this because I thought it was interesting that she put her note to readers, author's note. She put it at the beginning of the book instead of the end of the book, which is usually what authors do. And it's the whole thing about all the things that she studied to write this book and how she knows many of the historical facts are not accurate because she needed them to go a certain way for her story. And at the very end, she said, if you find any other inconsistencies, feel free to remind yourself this is a work of fiction. I loved that. That tells me that she must get maybe not criticism, but some backlash on her books. There are a few R.F. Kuang's I'd like to read. This like I said, this will be my first. I would like to read her Poppy War. I think it's a trilogy. I would love to do that. All her books are massively huge. I'm going to assume they're full of historical facts, and that's why she wrote that. She must get, people say it didn't work that way, didn't work that way. I will show you in the book because I know a lot of readers love maps. There's a pretty impressive map of Oxford in this book. That is pretty cool. I'm not a big map person. I don't spend a lot of time looking at maps when I'm reading a story. But this particular one here, the map of Babel, which is supposed to be the building in the story at Oxford, I found this fascinating. I even Googled this to see if I know it's not real, but I Googled it to see if perhaps there was a building like this at Oxford. There is not. It's not there. Because I have been by Oxford, but I never got to visit Oxford. And I thought perhaps there was a building that this was based on, but there isn't. How cool would it be if there was? That would be something to see. I would love to see something like that. All right, so to start, I'm just going to read the very beginning of the synopsis here, okay? And then we'll take it from there. All right, so for Babel, it says 1828, Robin Swift, orphaned by cholera, and I keep wanting to say Canton. It's not Canton, Ohio, it's Canton. Canton is brought to London by the mysterious Professor Lovell. There, Robin trains for years in Latin, ancient Greek, and Chinese, all in preparation for the day he'll enroll in Oxford University's prestigious Royal Institute of Translation, also known as Babel. And that's the only part of the synopsis I'm going to read. Okay, so I guess it's time to tackle spoilers. All right, what has happened so far? Let me get my owl. I got my little owl. Okay, there's my spoiler owl. Spoiler owl is up. I'm talking book. Okay. First two chapters, a lot happened, but not a lot happened. A lot of detail. We meet Professor Lovell, and he's in Canton, and he rescues a little boy who's the sole survivor in a house that everyone else has died of cholera. So he rescues the little boy, and he tells the little boy he has to pick a name that will work in the Western world in London. And the little boy was very literate in books. He's always been receiving crates of books to study and study and read, read, read. No idea why. So he's very familiar with Western writings, and he wanted the name Robin, and which is a poem from the 1800s. So Robin Redbreast or something. So he went with Robin, even though I thought it was Winnie the Pooh, which Winnie the Pooh was not written in 18 whatever. So, and then he picked Swift for Jonathan Swift and Gulliver's Travels and all that. So Robin Swift is now his name, and he is taken back to London, uh, and made to read a contract and sign the contract that he will study and 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 learn everything about languages and words and meanings and where words comes from, Latin and Greek, and it so much. Just study, 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 study to eventually go to Oxford. Um, that is it. Professor Lovell starts off kind of a dry character, but nice. And by the end of chapter two, he's severely beaten poor Robin with his cane, or I think it was cane. It might have been a fire poker, but anyway, he severely beat him because he was reading a novel opposed to studying, 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 and he was late for something because he was so involved in what he was reading. And we don't really you kind of like, goodness, what's off, what's up with you, Professor Lovell? You're not really the nicest guy. The only thing in the story so far that has me very much interested is what's going on with the silver. There's constant comments about silver working. Everything is about silver, magic, and silver. Silver is in things. It's what makes things run. It connects things. There's something with Robin. He Professor Level puts silver bars on him, and it affects his body, and he can taste dates in his mouth, and the energy vibrates through him and so forth. But two chapters in, we really haven't learned too much as to why or what's going on. Another interesting point, when they do get back to London, Professor Level has I guess they're co-workers or friends over, and there's one or a few of them that say, "Oh, is this the newest one, the most recent one?" And another one comments, "He looks exactly like you." So, is Professor Level the father of Robin? We don't know yet. Is Professor Level the father of many children that he produces to study and send to Oxford? We don't know yet. Um, there's a lot we don't know. We're only two chapters in. It is a very wordy read, not meaning that it's a big book. I already knew it was a big book when I picked it up, and it is academia, so I knew it was going to be, scholastic kind of thing. But there is a lot of, what is this word? What is the meaning of this word? What's the root meaning of this word? Does it come from the Latin? Does it come from the Greek? For me, that is a bit tedious. So I'm hoping once we get more into the story that there is more story and not as much of that. And I'm gonna put my owl down for right now because I don't think I'm gonna talk about spoilers anymore. So for next weekend, we need to be through chapter 10, which I probably will be. It's a good story. It's interesting. By the time we got to the end of chapter 2, Robin was old enough to go to Oxford, and we were moving on. So I think it was even said book 2. Chapter 3 is basically book 2 or something like that. So yes, I would very much like to know, anybody who's read this, what did you think? Did you think what I think? Did you think it was fantastic with all the, what's the meaning of this and what's the meaning of that? And, let me know, because I have been wanting to read this since it came out, which I'm not really sure when it was, but it was a few years ago. I'm finally getting to it. I think it's probably going to be a keeper book for me, even if I don't love it, only because the book snob in me is going to want to have this on my shelf. I'm going to want to have this book on my shelf, even if I never ever read it again. I just know me. I know me. I'll be like, yes, I read Babel and I have it. And, so we shall see. Maybe I'll absolutely love it by the time I get to the end, or maybe I won't. So for now, I guess I will say thank you for listening. That's really all I have this week. It really, really was a week where I finished nothing. Nothing. Nothing got finished this week. Um, so I will see you for another wrap up either next Sunday or next Monday. We need to be through chapter 10 in Babel, and that's really about it. So take care for now, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye bye.